What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another sports betting video. And yeah, I hope everyone had a good weekend of betting. And thanks to some heroics with a teaser that I placed on I think it was Saturday or Sunday. I was able to pull out a decent win on a six-leg 6-point teaser, which thankfully the Chargers ended up covering their spread from last night. So that was probably the big one that I got over the weekend. And obviously the picks for my mother-in-law's league, some of them did not pan out as hoped, others did. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and recap the week this past weekend, and then take a look at some injuries, and then take a preview at some of the lines coming up this week. So, Ravens and Titans in London. Arguably it was probably Lamar Jackson's best day throwing the ball, and the Titans, they just continue to disappoint, and it's just like week in and week out. It just seems like anytime I'm looking at the Titans, or I'm looking at their spread or whatever, like it just seems like you just never know what you're going to get. Like, you saw them week 1 against the Saints, and then they came out the following week. Then they beat the Bengals or something like that the following week. I can't remember. And in this being a London game, I was like, okay, London games have a track record of being real wonky, and everybody was heavy on the Ravens. So I was like, oh, let me take the plus 3.5 on the Titans. And sure enough, at the end, they're in the red zone, and they find a way to get pushed all the way back, and then Vrabel, for some unknown reason, decides to kick a field goal with 30 seconds left and then try and get an onside kick. I'm like, okay, look, I understand that you're trying to hold on to some kind of hope that you're going to win the game, but bro, if your guys can't even score a touchdown being down in the red zone like that, and I know it's third down, like, just see if you can get your guys with your backup quarterback into the end zone. Like, it was so infuriating to watch that this team was so close to, obviously pulling within, they would need the touchdown, 2-point conversion, blah, blah, blah. But it didn't even matter at that point. Your odds are so astronomically high. Like, there's like astronomical, the odds are, of you actually getting that onside kick after you score a touchdown and then winning the game after that. It's like, at that point, I'm just trying to see if this offense can get in the freaking red zone, in the end zone here at the end of the game with this backup quarterback, Malik Willis. But no, he plays the dumb card and decides to kick a field goal. And this is why analytics is ruining the sport. Screw analytics. I don't care what analytics say, So, yeah. And as for the Titans team, this game could have easily have been way more lopsided than it could. It just could have been way more lopsided. It should have been 24-13 the way that they were playing, but thanks to some penalties and some big plays, they were able to get 3 points when really they should have been pushing for 7 or 8 or 6 or 8 if they were going for the 2-point conversion. But whatever. I was not impressed that much by the Titans and the Ravens. They should have won by a lot more, but again, London game. Dolphins Panthers. My friend is a good friend of mine, one of my best friends, is a huge Panther fan, and he came over to watch the game. And when they were up 14-0, I was sitting here going, man, I'm glad I didn't take that -14 spread. Then they proceed to only allow them to score one more time before putting up 42. I kind of had a feeling they were going to bounce back, but man, the Panthers looked really good on their first 2 drives when they went up 14-0. So, uh, so even though you had the spread at what was it? Was it minus 14 for the Dolphins? It honestly was not a bad bet. I think a lot of people ended up taking that. When it comes to those high double digit spreads, I'm just like, I don't know. That sounds like one of those baits. That they get you with. But overall, I mean, the Dolphins just looked like they bounced back fine after their performance against the Giants, which was still solid, but they barely covered their spread. Almost had the back door through Tyrod Taylor at the end. Saints and Texans, look, for the most part, the Saints held that Texans offense in check, but Stroud, despite throwing that first interception, he looked pretty good. I mean, they only scored 20 points, and the Saints kept it close, but I mean, a lot of that has to be factored into, I mean, in my opinion, quarterback play. I'm just not impressed with Derek Carr. I think he really spent it all on the Raiders, and I just don't think he really has much else left. And in my opinion, if the Saints really want to make a push for the playoffs, they need to just pull the plug on Derek Carr and just start Jameis Winston. I know they're around the same age, but Winston, I feel like, I mean, you might as well at this point because your offense just isn't moving the ball with Derek Carr, and you have a plethora of talent. I mean, you're not running the ball well either, but you have Alvin Kamara, you've got Michael Thomas, you've got Chris Olave, you've got Juwan Thomas or Thompson, whatever, the tight end. I mean, you have the talent, but for some reason, it's just not clicking with Derek Carr. I mean, Derek Carr makes nice throws every once in a while, but the consistency has been the problem. So, I mean, if I were the Saints, man, I would just say, look, we are not winning games the way that we should be, despite that Patriots blowout, shutout that they had. So I would just put Jameis in. I'd be like, Jameis, let's see what you got. Let's see what you got, man. So, but the Texans, I mean, they looked solid all around, and this could be a dark horse team. I saw somebody, not somebody, I saw an article when they were doing, right around this time, you start getting proposed trade deadline opportunities, like some proposals. And someone had the Texans trading for Cortland Sutton to give C.J. Stroud one of those big, reliable veteran, like, possession receivers. So, yeah, you never know. And apparently, from what I heard, the Vikings are shopping. They're listening to offers for Danielle Hunter. So, since their season's pretty much in the tank right now, which sucks because again, they're just wasting another pretty decent year from Kirk Cousins. And if this team can get right, and Kirk Cousins has got one more good season left in him, they could do something maybe next year. But they have massive changes they have to make. The Commanders and Falcons, this was just all around a really good game from what I saw. Sam Howell looked good. The defense for the Commanders looked like they were coming back, but it was close. It was a close game. Commanders handing Desmond Ridder his first home loss of his entire career. Yeah, I mean, all I could really say is that the Commanders held down the run game, and they moved the ball well. Obviously, Sam Howell looked good. Falcons just looked real chippy. They're a good unit. I just don't. Obviously I think most people think that Desmond Ridder just isn't the answer. Unfortunately, he made a couple of really good throws. I will say that. But yeah, that was one obviously I didn't bet. Jaguars Colts. This was way more lopsided than I thought it was going to be. Gardner Minshew not playing very well at all, and the Jaguars completely taking advantage of that. Sorry, I had to clear my throat there. And the only unfortunate thing is Trevor Lawrence getting injured in that game. That is huge because they play this Thursday, and we'll get to the injury updates in a minute. So, but that is something to monitor because I kind of was interested in betting that game on Thursday. But if Lawrence is iffy, then I don't know about that. Bengals Seahawks. This game was way closer than it needed to be. And both teams were like trying to give each other opportunities to win the game, to take the game away from. Like I felt like the Seahawks just had so many opportunities to win this game that the Bengals just kept giving them. But the Bengals ended up coming out on top. They got that spread. They covered their spread. I think it was -3. And for me, I think I bet the Bengals once this year. I think, I'm not sure. And they burned me. And I said, okay, I don't trust the Bengals this year to cover spreads. So even no matter how enticing it looks, because there were a lot of games this past weekend where the spread should have easily been one way or another. It should have been positive, but it just didn't end up happening. So, overall the Bengals just looked mid. Again for another week. On defense, they looked fine. But for as many opportunities as the Bengals had, this game should have been the score should have been 2 possessions at least, like a 2-possession lead. The Vikings, they beat the Bears, but they did not look good doing it. And the Bears nearly tied the game with the rookie quarterback. I don't even remember his name because Justin Fields went out with a right hand injury, which he's going to have an MRI on, I think, or an X-ray. So that is something to watch for the Bears. But the Vikings, I think their spread was covered in this. I can't remember exactly what it was. I feel like it was in the 3 or 4 range. But yeah, the Vikings, again, without Justin Jefferson, just obviously didn't look the same, didn't look great. I saw bits and pieces of this game, and I was just oof, just one of those oof, like not pretty to watch. This game, speaking of not pretty to watch, this was probably the worst game of the weekend right here. This 49ers Browns game. Well, no, second worst game. For all intents and purposes, the 49ers should have won this. And you had 3 injuries for the 49ers on this. You had Trent Williams go out and then come back in. Then you had Christian McCaffrey go out, and you had Deebo Samuel go out. And so it was a rough day for the 49ers, and capped it all off by missing the field goal that should have given them the win. And my friend and I were watching it. We turned it on when the Panthers game just got too out of control. We turned this on and we were watching the end of it. And as soon as the announcer said this, as the field goal kicker was coming on, he's like, "Oh, he's made X amount of kicks in a row and blah 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 blah." And I think he was a rookie or something like that, or a young player. As soon as he said that, I said, "Oh God, he's gonna freaking miss this kick." And sure enough, he did. It was wide right. I was like, why do these announcers do this, man? Why do they gotta freaking jinx it, man? As soon as an announcer says anything positive about a game-winning scenario, it's going the other way. And the Browns, with P.J. Walker, somehow beat the 49ers. And, just don't make no sense. The Raiders beating the Patriots, but not really looking that impressive in my opinion. It was 21-17. The Raiders just continue to be just a very odd team that just is just going to leave you perplexed every week in and week out, like you just don't understand. I mean, going against the Patriots, it makes sense to lean on the Raiders. I don't remember what the spread was on this. It might have been one of those lower, low single digits ones. I didn't watch this game really at all. Lions Buccaneers. Lions, again, even though it was only 20-6, mainly because the Buccaneers defense played pretty well. Except for Amon-Ra St. Brown having a great day. But the Lions defense was where it really stood out. And I told everybody, this is who Baker Mayfield is, okay? It doesn't matter who he's got around him. Sure, you can like him, good guy, got the right attitude or whatever, he's a competitor. But I'm just saying, man, don't buy into it. Don't rely on Baker Mayfield to cover your spreads, man. It's just not going to happen. I don't believe it, Week 2, I remember when everybody was on the Bucs to cover the spread against Philly, and I was just like, I bought into it, but in my back of my mind, I was saying, "Man, this is Baker Mayfield on prime time, dude. I don't." And I just went with it. I was like, "Fine, you know what? I think they can." This pass defense for Philly hasn't been that great, and sure enough, Baker Mayfield goes and looks like complete and utter crap against Philly, and the defense didn't seem to care to try and stop them from scoring any points. And now the Lions come into town and just, in my opinion, from the score doesn't look at like 20-6. It's not the crazy, disparity. But when you watch the game, like the Lions, they kicked their ass. Like it was a definitely a dominant performance by the Lions. Rams Cardinals, Cardinals coming back to earth. Rams looked great. Cooper Kupp's back to his old self. I think this was another team, the Rams, that I saw as a trade option for one of those proposals, and they were saying that they should trade for Trent Brown from the Patriots. I mean, they could be, he's in his final year. The Patriots look terrible, so he's probably going to walk in free agency anyway. So why not send like a mid-round pick to the Patriots for Trent Brown? And I said, yeah, why not? I mean, me personally, I'm always down to take a solid starter on the O-line because, the Rams O-line, in my opinion, I don't really know anybody on that offensive line. That's how mid they are, I should say, as starters. But they keep playing good, and they're 3-3 right now. And you get a solid offensive tackle to protect Matthew Stafford. I mean, that could make the difference between making the playoffs and not making the playoffs. Probably one of the most interesting bets of the week. The Jets, when the lines first opened, it was the Jets +7, and then it dropped to +6.5 right before kickoff. Actually, it might have been Saturday. I think Saturday or Sunday Sunday morning. But in the beginning of the week, this was a +7 line, and then it dropped to +6.5. I mean, it's half a point, so it's not that big of a jump. But the fact that the line was starting to move down a little bit, I was on this. I didn't pull the trigger, man, and I should have. I mean, my gut was telling me to take that +7, and in my roster roulette season that I have going on with my wife's cousin, I picked the Jets defense, and boy, did they come through for me in a big way. But I didn't pick that +7, man. I just didn't trust that offense, and sure enough, they did just enough to play. I mean, Zach Wilson played better than Jalen Hurts. Zach Wilson, I don't think he turned the ball over, So it was like, but this was probably the lock of the week. If you look back over the week, outside of maybe the Dolphins, -14, even with that double digit, but the Jets +7 was probably one of the sharpest bets of the week. Scratch that. The next game, the Giants, what am I thinking? Because what were they, +15, I think, by the time kickoff was about to start? That's probably the sharp bet of the week, was the Giants +15. And that was actually part of my 6-point teaser parlay, which I teased them up to 21, and I didn't even need all those. I didn't even need half those points. Oh, actually, no, a quarter of those points. 9 to 14. And honestly, if we're going to be real, the Giants really should have won that game. We've all seen the video of that blatant hold from the start to finish of that play on Darren Waller. So, we all know this win is going to have an asterisk on it. And then, of course, probably one of the more entertaining games of the week to close out week 6 is the last night's game, Chargers and Cowboys. I had the Chargers teased up to +7.5. Got that right there with that late touchdown, and then the Cowboys just won by a field goal. Great game. I watched the first half before going to sleep, and it was 10-7, and I was like, man, this is a good game. And woke up to a good cash out, or a good, I should say, a good win on that bet. So some good games over the past weekend, and not a ton of. I would say there were a lot of people that were taken, like, from what I heard, like Buccaneers were being taken, Seahawks. I mean, I think everybody was hammering the Bills, if I'm not mistaken. The Eagles and Jets, people were hammering the Eagles on the money line and on the spread. Oh man. And then here, get this. Yesterday, I saw an article that said the Eagles are frauds, and I think it's time we admit it. So them Philly boys are catching some heat this week, man, for this loss, because this was a bad loss. I think they turned the ball over 4 times. I think it was 3 interceptions and a fumble. So, all right, I spent 20 minutes on this nonsense. Real quick, we'll go over the injuries. So we got Zay Jones, estimated as a non-participant with a knee injury. Trevor Lawrence, same deal. So this is something for you guys who are looking to bet the Saints-Jaguars game. If Trevor Lawrence is playing, even if he's playing, he's not going to be 100%. And if I were, oh man, I forget his name, the head coach of the Jags, I would keep him out. I would say, look, it's not worth risking it. It's an out-of-conference game. We're coming off of 3 wins in a row. We've got a decent backup in C.J. Beathard. Let's just roll with him and just try and get out of this week healthy. So Trevor Lawrence has got like almost 2 weeks to recover before his next start. So that's what I would do. There's no reason to play him this Saturday, in my opinion, or this Thursday, in my opinion. The Saints, Derek Carr apparently has a shoulder chest injury and estimated as a limited participant. So he's still dealing with that injury. Johnson listed as a non-participant with a calf injury. Olave limited, estimated. This is all estimated, by the way. And then IR activity. What was that? Jamal Williams, estimated limited. Yep. All right. Got the Raiders and Bears. So Garoppolo is undergoing more tests to determine the severity of the back injury he suffered in the win over the Patriots. Oof. That's right. I forgot that he got injured. Oh my gosh. That's terrible. And then the Bears, questionable. Fields is doubtful. Oof. Dislocated right thumb. Oh man. That's gonna be a little bit. Let's see. Herbert is going to injured reserve. These 2 guys going to IR, so that's IR activity. Browns, Colts, questionable. Deshaun Watson. Oh man. Let's see. Concussion for Kyle Granson. Yeah. Okay. Anthony Richardson is. Oh man, his season is probably over. That hurts. So they're going to be riding with Gardner Minshew going forward. Kincaid remains in the concussion protocol. That's never a real good. That's not a good sign to see if he's still in the concussion protocol after a week. Yeah, it's usually not a good sign, especially when they don't have any updates at like any kind of progress or anything. Allen is injured. Is considered day-to-day with a shoulder injury. How about that? Harris was released from the hospital. Yeah, that was kind of scary. So it looks like he's okay. Patriots just have Smith-Schuster and Douglas as questionable. Commanders, Giants. Commanders, no injury news. That's always good. Daniel Jones, neck feels a lot better, and he's trying to be ready to play Week 7. I wouldn't risk it, man. I mean, I think everybody knows the Giants aren't really going to make the playoffs, so I know it's a rivalry game, but I would not risk it, especially with that really shaky offensive line. You just do not want to get yourself hurt even more. Falcons, Tampa Bay, no injury news for the Falcons. Mayfield, a left non-throwing hand contusion. He should be fine. Lions, let's see. Mitchell, questionable. Montgomery is expected to miss some time. That sucks. Gibbs is trending toward playing Sunday against the Ravens. Good. This will be a good game for the Lions to see how good they really are. Nothing much there. Ravens, no news. Freiermuth is expected to play against the Rams. This is IR activity. Okay, is designated. Okay, so Johnson's designated to return. Rams, Kyron Williams is questionable. He's expected to miss the game. Dang, that sucks. So they're going to be down to bare bones at running back for the Rams. Cardinals, let's see. Nothing major. Connor on IR. Packers, Jones is questionable. Jeez, man, is this guy ever going to be healthy like this year? Let's see. Nothing. Dolphins. Chris Brooks, he's week to week with an ankle injury. And A-Chain, minimum 4 games, one injury likely. Okay, all right, well, that's good. And he'll be able to come back. Wilson was not activated off injured reserve Saturday, so this was on October 14th. Okay, we'll see what happens this week. No injury news for the Eagles. McCaffrey is undergoing an MRI, so this is big. And then Deebo Samuel is day to day with a shoulder. He may be ready. We'll have to see about that MRI for McCaffrey. And they don't have Trent Williams. Trent Williams did have a foot injury, but I guess he's all right. And that's it for the injuries. All right, so let's go to the lines real quick. I know this video is a little long. Always are. So, yeah, right now the line's sitting at, +1, -1 for the Jags and Saints, which makes sense. Everything's up in the air right now to see what's going to happen with Trevor Lawrence and with Derek Carr. Me, personally, I would just take the under in points. I would. That's probably the only thing I would do is just take the under. And I would take the under sooner rather than later, because depending on the injury news, that under total could go down. So if you can get a good number here, like today, that would be solid. Browns Colts is at 3. Open. I'm sorry. This is where they're open. So you got it's like 1, 2. Yeah. So it's basically 2, 2.5. Well, with both these teams playing backup quarterbacks, that's another one where I'd say go with the under on points. Bills Patriots line looks like 8.5, 9. Well, we'll see. We'll have to see about that injury with Josh Allen. I mean, he had a similar injury last year that everybody kind of played up, and then it ended up being nothing, and he was totally fine. I definitely see this is another one of those games, man. Like the Bills played down to their competition this past week against the Giants, and I mean, are they going to continue that trend, or do they look like a playoff team against the Patriots? Like, do they not play as well as the Saints did against the Patriots? That's the big question. So, I don't know, man. 8.5. Until that line gets to like 7 and lower, I'm not going to take the Bills. Raiders and Bears make sense at 3. It's looking like there's a possibility. Well, definitely for the Bears. Raiders might be without Garoppolo. Again, I'd take the under on points, maybe, depending on how high it is or how low or whatever. Commanders, Giants, 2, 2.5. 1, 1.5. Man, yeah. I mean, obviously I would favor the Commanders just because they're a more complete team right now at this point in the season, especially after coming off that good win against the Falcons. Falcons-Buccaneers is at 2.5. And, I'm not really impressed with either team. So I'm probably not even going to... I'm just going to stay away from it. I'm not even going to trust the point totals on that one. Lions, Ravens, again, this is another one. I mean, seeing the Lions at +3, I feel like this could be a game they could win and really make a statement and go 6-1, have a commanding lead in the NFC North and be one of the best teams in the NFC. I don't know, that +3, man, that's prime for a teaser right there. Tease that up to 9 points. Cardinals, Seahawks. I don't know, man. The Seahawks haven't looked that great the last couple weeks. Neither of the Cardinals, but I feel like the Cardinals have had more better games than the Hawks. And you got going up to 8 on some other books here. It might be worth a teaser for the Cardinals. Steelers, Rams. I don't think the Rams really have many injuries. I know the line... wait, hold on. Don't they have... Oh, never mind. I thought they had the public, where the public was betting and all that stuff. I don't know. I've only just recently come to this site, so it's like I really don't know the navigation too well. But yeah, so I feel like that everyone's going to be on the Steelers just because of their defense. And I think people might be sleeping on the Rams, especially at -3. I don't know, man. I might take that. Packers and Broncos. This one I'm not betting at all. Maybe the under on points is another one of those. I would take the under on points. Chargers Chiefs. This one I'd be willing to take the over on points. Actually, I don't know. The Chiefs offense hasn't even been that great to start this year either. And at +5.5, I might take that. That might be another teaser worthy right there. Tease that up to 11.5, like early on in the week. That might be worth it. Dolphins and Eagles. This is at a 1.5, 2.5 at most of these lines. Oof. Well, this is going to be the test for both teams. This is going to be the real test for both teams. And then this is Sunday night football. Oh wait, no, this is Monday Night Football. Niners and Vikings. Depending on the injuries, right now this line is at -2.5. Oh wait, I'm sorry. This is how it opened. I keep misreading that. I feel like this is like the best line or whatever. No, it's at 7, 6.5, and 7. If you can get 6.5, I would take that. I would take that to the bank because I don't think this Vikings team is going to play very well without Justin Jefferson. I know they won, but they barely beat the Bears, you know. So I would definitely lean on the 49ers here to cover this spread. Even without McCaffrey and without Debo, I still think this would be they easily win this just because of how strong their defense is. So, yeah. I think the Niners bounce back, easily win this game. Oh, okay. Got through that. I'm going to wrap this video up. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe on the way out. Let me know how you did in the comment section down below over this past weekend. And if you're eyeing any of these bets early on before the lines start to move. And I will catch you all later. Take care.